is the Special Project Standing Building Committee. It is Monday, March 30th, 5:15 p.m. Is anyone else on? Okay. No Adam or Sal.
No, I put salary, definitely. Did you give me an agenda?
He said he was coming, he wasn't.
It was the top sheet on this.
All right, here it is, yeah. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at exactly 5:15. We have the, well, a little, out of the ordinary, we just, we're gonna welcome a new member to the SVSC. Okay, happy to have somebody, you're replacing Al Kelly, or not replacing, but he was a longtime member, and unfortunately died very young, too.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take a look at the minutes.
Michelle is on.
He is?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sal, can you hear us all right? Is he on mute?
He's having trouble.
Okay.
I'm here. I got it.
Okay, good. I'm looking to see if there was any carryover items that were not finally addressed, but I don't see anything that was in that category.
We'll take them one at a time.
Yeah. Just let me, let's see, finish.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have a chance.
No, that's okay. Take your time. Jane, that last paragraph there, I think you should take a good look at it.
What,
The
the
big one.
last meeting?
The big one.
She's on it now.
That's exactly where I am.
Yeah. This is what that you did there.
set, Jane?
Yes. Good, Sharon, I only have one comment about one. I'll make it the appropriate time.
So, we should take one at a time, excuse me?
Sure.
So, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting of October 27th, 2025.
I'll second.
Any comment, any changes? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna just abstain on
Yeah,
these
you
for
can- you
for these
can-
three,
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
If you're not there for the meeting, you can't vote.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting conducted on November 24th, 2025.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Jay, would you mind making the motion for the January 29th minutes?
Well, I don't know, do I make the motion, because I do want to have one comment? Or do we discuss
Make the
first?
motion with the comment.
Jen, it's paragraph 4, on the second page, Goldfield roofing application for the period ending in the amount of 0. Oh, that was the corrective thing. 0.00, okay, now I remember, I was gonna pull my notes out, I thought it was a
Spent a
typo.
lot of time
I'm
listening to the recording.
I'm sure you did, yeah, I remember we had
Yeah.
something funky with that, but
I know.
you know, kinda hard to remember exactly what
I
we did.
know, it was odd, but I
2 months ago. Does that make sense to everybody else?
Yeah.
Okay, good enough. And I just want to confirm, I know you said there's stuff I said, but you also said a lot in there. You're good with this paragraph?
I wrote it, so
You wrote it?
I'm okay with it.
Then I'm
That's
good.
why I wanted to make the motion.
I got you. Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 29th, 2026.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any changes, any objections? No. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's it on the minutes. Next item on the agenda, Sal, you can hear us, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, you're the next item on the agenda, and we'd just like to get an update.
We're waiting for ladders to be done at Tomlinson. We did receive warranties for the Stratfield job and the Tomlinson job, but they were incorrect. So they were going back to get those corrected, and we have not seen those yet. That's been a week and a half, going on to 2 weeks now. I spoke with the architect, and he had followed up and is following up on the warranty. So that's why you're not seeing any invoices at this meeting, because we're not wrapped up with that. And that's where we stand on the roof projects.
Thank you.
All right. All right, any changes in anything that Colliers has done to date?
No, we're going to be talking about that next, but
Yeah,
no changes from my standpoint.
okay. All right, that's it on that. We'll move on to the next one on the agenda. Just to review the proposed architect request for quotation. Who that's is.
Sent these, Mark Schweitzer with Colliers, sent these out last Tuesday, received comments back from Carlos. We can go over them now. How do we just want to go section by section?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is easy enough. I know we do have questions on certificate of insurance and the CM or GC delivery that can be discussed. As we go through, the stuff highlighted in yellow are items that, well, first one off is the RFP number. That will be provided by purchasing, so I will change that right before we send it in. We have an issue date of tomorrow, and qualifications are due on the 23rd. And we'll get more into the schedule down below. Go through the table of contents. Just working off of Carlos's edits. I do have a traffic study in here. In the body of it, I say that it's not required. I left it in there just because it's a typical scope of work that architects see on RFPs for school projects. And I do note it in there that it's not required, so we're specifically excluding it. So it's just a little bit more detailed. I mean, I can take it out if needed.
Well, we don't need it, why have it in the scope?
Yeah, I would suggest
Just
take
take
it
it
out, just to not cause confusion. Go ahead.
Wait, because it is an entry, I hear what you're saying.
Yep.
And that it could lead to a question, so, is there any traffic involved? So.
Shouldn't be.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
just to answer the question before it's asked.
If it does come up,
I see that.
I mean,
Then you can answer it.
we're gonna handle it as a ad service anyways.
Okay.
Basically, we've excluded it. Then just going through the appendices, we have the educational specifications that got approved last Tuesday. I will have those, I sent over the drafts. I don't think there's much change to the draft.
No, hi, Jen Jacobson, Board of Ed. No, the Board of Ed approved the educational specifications for all of the projects last Tuesday night with no changes. So those are done.
Is that, can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
Is that the part somewhere, and I don't think it's on this document, it says ECC Ward Elementary School. I saw that several times, and that's not.
It should have been,
That's not correct.
that's not correct.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's correct here, where it's just.
you mean on the cover? Oh, these are the ed specs.
It was
Yeah.
on the spec.
Okay.
That's why I said that.
That's not right. Yeah.
It's,
I mean,
it's
I would
right
consider that a
here.
friendly amendment, but I
Yeah.
can certainly take it back to the board.
Oh,
I actually need it formally amended.
Well, these are the drafts, so I'm not sure,
No, we voted.
yeah, but these were drafts from the week before, the 17th, I believe. So I'm not, it might have got changed for the 24th. It didn't, okay.
I mean, early childhood center at Ward High School, those are all correct, but there is no Ward Elementary School in Fairfield.
That's true.
No.
Is that something you want me to take back for us to amend formally? Sal, do those maybe Sal would know, do we
Yeah, I
need to
don't know.
amend that formally for the state?
However you want to handle it, we can, I don't think that they actually look at it that closely, to tell you the truth. But, if you want to pass it through the next meeting, that's fine.
Just, we don't have a meeting until April 28th, and I'm doubting you want to wait that long to move forward, right?
I'll take a look at it. I don't know that we need to, we've had typos in ed specs before, that it's never actually caused a problem, but if you
It's
want
also on
to.
page 2. It's also listed on page 2, where it says the project at ECC Ward Elementary School. So
Okay.
it's on the cover and on the second page, Sal, so.
I think it might even be more than that. I thought. Maybe not.
Yep, it's all throughout, all throughout.
Sorry.
No,
Well,
that's great,
we can still kick the,
I have no problem with it.
our
Approving it.
queue out,
yeah.
Yeah.
but I can note on the table of contents, just any reference to any ECC, it's only at the ECC at Ward High School. And we can kick this out to the architects. That's
That sounds reasonable.
a general statement that we can make on it.
So Sal, would it be best then to have it corrected at the April meeting, just so that it goes into whatever final documentation correctly?
That would be fine. We have time on the state process,
Okay.
so it would be fine.
request to the BOE to do that for April 28th.
How are these specs being distributed? Or how were they distributed? Because I need to get on
It
that.
should come from central office, right? They weren't sent out to anybody?
No,
From-
Yeah, we have it.
you have them, okay. The other copies I had asked, just to get on.
Right, no, it was in the email that
Yeah,
Mark sent out, the little tiny, on the upper left-hand corner, RFQ.
Okay.
That's
No,
what
you just got to get me on
Yep.
that email
Yeah,
distribution.
you need that email.
Right, okay, perfect.
All right. I guess under the appendices, we have, additional project reference materials can be found at the building committee website, and I just need to add that link. Carlos did add something in here about the certificate of insurance for the contractor. The one I provided was one that we provided for the architect's RFP for Dwight, which was supplied, it comes in from upstairs.
Is that like God? I'm sorry.
No. From the building, from the risk manager.
Right,
So
well, the risk manager, with all due respect to the upstairs, provided a certificate of insurance for a contractor that does not have professional liability insurance, which we absolutely must have
Yes.
for an architect or a design
Correct.
team.
Yes, and it is in the contract. We will be,
Right.
when we distribute the, RFP, we'll send out the
Yeah.
contract as well, and within there.
That has to be job specific,
Correct.
because that, every job that I get, I have to put it on there. So you will have to give it for all of them on one, or what?
So,
All those projects?
It'll be one for each of the 5 projects.
That's what unless,
unless they
I don't know,
list them
yeah.
separately, we'll ask the insurance
it
company
could
how
be a
they want.
benefit
Yeah.
to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what might work, is to have the architect just give their own certificate of insurance that they would normally use, and see if we can accept that.
Normally, we set the town sets the limits
I
that they
understand
can. Okay.
Right. But let's get,
What's that,
Something.
what notice does the town set on that? Do you know off the top of your head?
No, no.
Okay. I was only curious. I want to see because,
Yeah.
whether they, okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Then we get into the body of the RFQ, project introduction, where we list the 5 schools and the street addresses, the ECC located at Fairfield Ward High School. Then I go through each of the schools, sits on X acre site, if it's a 1-story or 2-story, gross square feet. I put in when the building was constructed and the school capacity. Carlos has added the projected enrollment for 26-27 for each of the schools. And that was in the ed specs as well.
The last sentence of, the building description, these include but are not limited to, that should be a separate sentence. It's a very important sentence. I think. It kind of just seems like a run-on.
Okay.
So, period after design.
So, yeah, we'll break that up into 2 sentences then. Then we get into the educational specifications.
In the stakeholders here,
Yes.
did I see someplace else, that you listed? Thought there was one more, was it, IT? Is there someplace else? Just, again, if it's in here, maybe you wanna include it? I know it says not limited to, but that coordination. Thought I saw something. Keep talking and we'll come back to that.
Yeah, if I don't put it down, I'm not gonna, I can say, Fairfield Public Schools.
Thought there was someplace else.
Yep. So we get into the educational specifications, list the appendices that they're associated with. I could probably put here also any reference to ECC.
It's okay on here, I think.
Yeah, your RFQ is fine.
Yeah.
If it gets amended though, your point is that the date would change for that one piece.
That's,
Yeah.
I'm not,
Worried about that.
no, I'm not worried. It'd be a revision date, the body of it was the 24th.
Right.
Carlos also noted about the Prox readers for all doors. The vestibules that we put in during phase 1 of the HVAC, it was only at the vestibules, only the affected doors. That the rest of the school is on the Prox readers as well as, anyways, the scope is limited to the entrance only.
Because the ed spec has it for all of the schools, and in each ed spec, they have every door that's used by teacher or student gets a Prox reader. So I just want to make sure that we cover that in the, the scope for the architect.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already in, God bless America, but, if they're not in, we gotta put them in.
Yes. But by listing the ed spec here and providing the ed spec, the ed spec is part of the contract as well.
Okay.
Then I list the project budget by school. And this is straight from the town website or from the town, saying that the owner's rep manages the total project budget. In the RFP, will be providing the architect a control budget that he has to design to, and it goes to one of your points later on that.
Right.
Is this normal over here, and this is all of the whole budget, and we've already spent $200,000. Is there a reason why this is in here, and is this usual?
Yep.
It is.
That's what the town boards have approved.
To put in,
No, the amounts are.
no, I understand that's what's been approved, but just, it's unusual to see it in an request for proposal in an RFP.
That's the way the town does it, unfortunately. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
thank you for using the word. So you understand where I'm coming from.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, so if somebody designs to 773, it has no contingency, it has no, it's out of your fee, your fees are gone already.
That's what we're here for.
Okay.
Well, we also.
So why put it in, but if that's the way the town does
That's the way
it,
the town does it.
okay.
It's twofold. It's already been voted on.
I understand, it's a matter of record.
Yeah.
Somebody, if they want to do the research, they can do that, but
We also-
not looking for somebody to design to a budget of 73, then
Nope.
we're not going to
Well,
make.
we will be providing a control budget for the architect,
Okay.
which will take all the soft costs up and roll it up to his number that he has to design to.
Right.
Project estimates, we are doing 2 estimates. And we are getting, 2 times 2. We're doing them at design development at the construction documents. And we are also asking the architect to provide a professional estimate. We're asking the architect to provide a professional estimate. If we go the CM route, we'll also ask them to do a professional estimate. Typically with reconciliations on projects where we go general contractor, the town will also provide a second estimate, professional estimate, to do the reconciliation against. So that is one of the things that we need to discuss when we get to the GCCM discussion. And then Carlos added in, based on the reconciliation meeting outcomes, the architect will revise the documents as required at no additional cost to the owner to meet budget, but that's, project schedule.
Sorry, where is that about having to do stuff to meet the project budget?
That's an ed,
Yeah.
I put in,
After, where? Maybe.
well, we don't have my comments,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did read, but,
Yeah. The top paragraph, you see it in blue.
right, oh, okay, so this is going to be added?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. No, I did see that, that's right.
Yeah.
Project schedule, the RFQ will be issued tomorrow, Tuesday. Plan on doing a site visit on the Monday of spring recess, April 13th. We're,
To all of them?
to all of them.
Okay.
I think the architects need to see all five of them.
Of course.
We, just for reference, we didn't do a site visit for Dwight because it was a brand-new building and they didn't need to be there to see that. We encourage site visits, but that's a different story. Last date of inquiries, I have the 14th. I might bump that to the 15th, and then the responses be that Friday, the 17th. And then qualifications are due on the 23rd, no later than 2 p.m. And everything goes in through the e-procurement portal from purchasing. So no paper. The next regularly scheduled building committee meeting is the 27th. I have a short list of them then.
Mm-hmm.
And then issuing the RFP the next day. I gotta put that in there.
So you issue the RFP on the
28th, yes. Now, originally I had, your May scheduled building committee is the 18th of May.
That's,
Yeah,
that's the last Tuesday, no, it can't be.
well,
It's instead of Memorial Day.
Oh, okay.
yeah, because of Memorial Day, the last Tuesday would, the last
Right,
Monday
okay,
would be the
yeah.
25th, the holiday. It is the 18th. I have interviews and selection coming back on the 4th of May, just a week. But looking at it, that would be a special building committee meeting. As I started going through this, I'd suggest doing the architects' interviews and selections on May 11th, and that would be your meeting for the month.
All right. Got that?
And that way, Board of Selectmen meet, if we meet on the 11th, they meet on the 20th, May 20th, which would mean we would have to get the architect's contract into Jen on the 14th. If we meet on the 11th, we would get the contracts in on the 28th for the June 3rd Board of Selectmen meeting. Which is, I mean, if we did the May 4th, we would have an outside shot probably at the 20th. But if we do the 11th, we'd definitely get it in before the 28th for the June 3rd meeting.
We'll try to make it happen, yeah.
Okay.
Adam's not around, is he? Because he's the one that has to get the contract out. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where is that?
What I will say is, we have AIA contracts that have already been reviewed by the town attorney for Dwight. So we have those, he just reviewed them in February. So we're gonna use those as part of the RFP. We'll be issuing the AIA documents as part of them. And part of their submission back to us, we're gonna require that any clarifications, any revisions that they want to that contract have to be submitted at the time that they provide their proposal.
Okay. Just, do you think it's reasonable to have the RFP issued on the 20th of April, but the responses due a few days later, by May 4th?
Well, the proposals would be then due the 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna give them basically 2 weeks.
That sounds more better.
Yeah. As I was looking at their schedule,
Got it.
kind of wanted to compress them, but with
And then the interviews would be on what date again?
the 11th as well, we'd get them at the same time.
Got it.
Do we want, well, proposals they'll be submitting,
So Rich, we'll have a special meeting then on the 11th, or we'll wait till the 18th?
Are we scheduled for the 18th?
18th.
Right now, we're scheduled for the 18th.
yeah,
I'll try to go with the regular schedule if we can.
18th would put us in the same, I mean, we can, it'd be tight to get it into, we should be able to get the contract into Jen on the 28th for the June 3rd.
I have a reason, because there might be other business that we have to handle, and if it's a special meeting, we won't be able to handle it, all right?
Okay.
So, depending on what it is, actually.
Yep, we'll leave it at the 18th then.
So the actual selection and approval by us would be on the 18th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, project delivery. And I think one of your questions is, why do we need it in here anyways?
So, no, it wasn't so much that.
Okay.
As much as, and a lot of it was semantics. The way the wording was a general contractor design, build, project, delivery method, and then it goes on to some other language. Basically, I think as a committee, we may want to just decide whether we want to do the GC route, do the plans and specs, bid it out, or we want to do the CM route, which is, I kind of like better, because we can just get the information we need as it's being designed.
As long as it falls within the budget.
Yeah, and we're getting budget updates pretty much constantly, so, but that's up, Richard, it's up to you if you want to weigh in.
My experience has been that when it becomes a more expensive project. When you do it, so you can get it directly through, the general as opposed to the additional CM, yeah. But,
Which becomes more expensive?
the cost of the project,
Which route?
with the CM in there. And every time that I've got involved, they usually handling, I won't name names, but they handle a lot of projects all at the same time, and they get paid from us, and they get paid. That's what I've seen happen.
It's something which we discussed also at the last meeting. Your exact concern is how many CMs are willing to provide their A team for a basically $3 million project.
Right.
There are CM firms that do have small projects, groups, that,
Right.
not necessarily, they do have they do have the A team of special projects, but yeah.
Right.
So we don't have to decide that now.
No, you
Well,
don't.
we do because the architect needs to know that they're gonna be just working plans and specs to the end of the day and then put it out to bid. Or they're gonna be working in conjunction with the CM, during the development of the design.
The more restrictive is the general contractor, because the architect needs to spend more time with the plans, putting the front end together, and not only with the plans, but the specifications. They've got to worry about the logistics and, how to construct it and put that on the plans, versus if you hire the CM, they would be doing that. So the more conservative is to tell the architect that it is a GC route, so they would put their fee to that, and if we go the CM route, it'd be
Less of their services.
less than services.
I don't know, I'm of two minds. I mean, I worked as a construction manager, but I hear what you're saying. The only thing I would caution is I do think that a lot of architects, and we've seen that, they're not managers.
No.
We're not getting stuff on time.
I know.
We're getting, the request for, the, I can't think of the word, monthly AII forms from the things that are incorrect and aren't being checked. Those are things I don't think a CM would have happen.
A pay application or change
Pay
orders?
application, thank you.
Well, we review them as well, make sure.
Oh, that's true, well, we haven't had
Yeah.
an owner's rep either.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a point, we have an owner's rep now. How many layers do we need?
As far as the GC goes, there's a negative there too. If you look at the quality of the superintendents that are on these jobs nowadays, it's horrible. I don't know where they're getting their superintendents from. It's, they're not like it used to be. They don't know anything, most of them. Can you back me up on that? Or what?
Yeah, they're mostly managers, they're not scheduled drivers.
Yeah.
Or problem solvers, they're more managers.
Well,
Making
do you
sure
have an
that-
opinion?
I'm just listening to, they're small projects, so as, I'm listening to the pluses and minuses that you're
Yeah,
saying.
so I feel like that way
over
too, there's how
here.
many layers do we need on
Right.
such a small,
But you're saying you're an owner's rep over here,
Correct.
right? That's your
Yes.
position. So some of those things, driving the schedule and everything is going to be on you. It's a limited schedule. You have
Yep.
the summer over here.
Yep.
You
It is.
That's, and as school projects, that's the way school projects are gonna go.
By the way, it's not expected to be even started until next summer.
I saw that,
Okay.
yeah, I saw that.
Okay, I interrupted you, finish it.
No, I'm listening and, what's it gonna cost, I guess part of it is what's it gonna cost against this budget? Talk to me, and when you go this route with the GC, you're saying that their subs, and you described several different subs in here,
You're gonna have,
how's the quality of those subs in a GC who's going to be doing this work versus, you described, a construction manager that may have a whole ton of other work and they could put pressure on subs to take this job, as part of their portfolio,
The construction, where the difficulty, the possible problem is the suppliers of glass.
we ran into it in phase
Yeah.
one.
And so.
What's phase one?
Sorry, I'm also on the HVAC IAQ projects in
Okay.
town. And in phase one, we had not only those, but at the three schools that we were at for phase one, which was Osborne Hill, North Stratfield, and Fairfield Woods, we also did the security vestibules there.
Okay.
The security vestibules, how I see it, is we're going out to bid November, December, possibly January of this year. Get whoever we get on board in January, and then from January to basically June 15th,
Mm-hmm.
it is submittals and basically procurement, because, the glass is probably a 3-month lead time,
Okay.
and as you get closer to summer, it extends out.
Mm-hmm.
So I have them ordering basically in February. I want the glass. I have it figured that by February 15th, they need to order the glass, so they have it here by June 1.
But you're on top of that. Why would we get more value out of a construction manager?
Well, I don't hold the contract on the glass guy. The GC or the CM holds the contract would hold the contract on the glass
Well,
guy.
the contracts are between the town and the contractors, no? Or they're good?
But the contract
Not on
would
the
be
GC,
between the
yeah.
town and the GC
And
or
the
the,
GC, correct.
and the town and the construction manager.
But would the construction management firm actually be contracted to the subcontractors?
Yes.
Okay.
They in turn they issue contracts to the subcontractors.
Issue them, but are they,
They're theirs,
they're there?
but they push
I know.
their contract back,
Well, yeah.
or their
we can
contract
do
with
it
the
different
town
way,
to the
but
subcontractor.
That's how it works for the town here, okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Since you've done one of these already, right?
Yep.
I'm concerned at the complexity of, you have an existing structure, you're gonna be putting a new structure in there. I know we don't have drawings yet, but how, is it like the guys better know exactly what they're doing?
The existing conditions need to be
Evaluate
documented.
and document.
So, what we ran into trouble, I say trouble, but it's an issue during phase one where
It's gotta be.
we basically designed the glass to the opening and we didn't leave any variability on the sides where you could add in, there are rough openings and hole dimensions,
Right.
but probably should have shrunk that up a little bit and done the sides in drywall where it would have been easily
Making adjustments.
adjustments.
Yeah.
So I'm just listening, if that's the procurement item, then that is that bought through a second sub, or can that just be, pre-purchase as part of either on the GC bid? Just make sure that
Where the town purchases it?
Not really, put it in their contract, right, put it in there, I'm not advocating for that,
Right.
but it's gotta be, as you said, an early purchase. And if you're building it, and I understand what you're saying, hey, if it's smaller than the opening and you're closing it all in, it doesn't sound like it should be something that should drive the job.
Correct.
As long as everybody's aware of it. Hey,
Correct.
the anticipation is that that's your first submission. And
Oh, yeah.
And
And the lead time on the glass was 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you have a backup man on that glass, by the way? I know I think there's 2 suppliers possible, right?
There's 2 suppliers on the state contract.
Yeah.
There are others that, any glass company, any glass subcontractor should be able to get the glass.
Yeah, okay.
But there's only 2 on the state contract.
Yeah.
Are we limited to those 2?
Nope. No.
The other-
CM or GC route,
So,
it would be going out to,
right, so if we stay on the CM route for a minute, we can have the architect and the CM focus on the glass and all the openings required in the glass for various devices that are going in on sides and things of that nature, and that can become a pre-purchase item by the CM. Okay? And that can be done earlier than January or February, possibly, depending on how far the architect gets with the design and all the approvals that's into the design. So that's a
Can you
possible.
purchase the glass? Can you purchase the glass without knowing how much
You're
and
gonna,
what size?
you're gonna buy the system, you'll buy the glass system for the vestibule.
Right.
And you're not just buying glass,
Right.
you're buying the whole system.
Yeah, you gotta cut the glass to the,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you can pre-purchase that during what phase of design?
At the very end. As soon as we have sufficient information that, you know, everybody's signed off on, these are the devices we need. I'm sorry?
You mean like construction documents?
Yeah.
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 That still put it out to bid or the CM would put it out to bid as well,
Yeah, we put it out to bid.
but it would be it's the first metal in.
Right.
Mhm.
The,
I look
other-
at it as they cost more, are they worth their cost? Are they gonna save us what they cost to see them?
I know during our interview, we talked about it, and GC route is, on a small project like this, is, you're not talking, the bulk of the construction is gonna happen unoccupied building. It's limited scope as far as, this is the area where you're,
Right.
focused.
And they're not subbing out to that many different, I mean, how many trades?
Depending,
Because I don't know how complex this
Depends on the design.
it depends on the
You
design.
could have 15 if it's really, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, because that's in my mind, if you have like, 15 different subs, I'd rather see a GC handling that than but if it's fairly straightforward.
Are you, the existing foundations, are they gonna remain, or what happens there? I mean,
that's on 2 of the 3 in phase 1. They basically took the existing exterior glass wall out and put the new in, and then they added a new line of basically bent of glass in more interior to the vestibule, creating a larger vestibule. But that was just done on the slab. At Fairfield Woods, the exterior got extended out, so we did do a foundation there, but that was still under the roof. But it was,
so you don't know what,
No.
on all of these over
No.
here? Because I'm trying to get how complex is it?
Yeah, that's
So,
what I was saying. And I said that wrong. I meant if there were a lot of
I mean,
different trades involved, then
If you start ripping up foundations, then you have to have some, theoretically, have bearing capacity that you have predetermined, but you discern the soils and so forth. I mean, it could get into a big manila.
yeah,
And so, just to finish, so, concrete, then we have the floor slab, all right? Is the floor gonna be ripped out?
at, let's see, Mill Hill,
And
the
where
quartile
is it? Is there a lot of plumbing in there, or a lot, there's gotta be electric?
Electric,
Yeah,
low voltage,
yeah.
ceiling, slab, the mason was in there. HVAC.
Any structural steel utilized in this?
There was maybe at the walls, at the glass walls, like a lintel,
And that,
which is potential.
so it's,
And there's, on these 5, there's not, they're all 5 unique projects, unfortunately. North Stratfield and Osborne Hill were basically,
this is starting to sound like a demo job possibly too.
yep, there will be
So-
demo.
Oh, boy, yeah, I mean, but that's,
If you're replacing,
those guys are hard to control, Yeah.
Well, conceivably, the estimates had something in it, right? I mean, these estimates didn't come out of thin air, right? So the estimates that we were provided were done in consultation with the experts. So in the estimate, is there, and I just pulled up our book, it's not detailed like that for what we approved. So what was put into the estimate for this question, if anything? Right, so back to
Sal,
your
you
point.
know-
Sal, do you have anything to chime in here?
And back to your point, we can't go over budget.
Sal,
Yes,
what do you think?
whether it should be a GC or a CM,
Yeah, yes.
it's small and it's a CM. I have mixed feelings on this. Because it's multiple, I know, because it's multiple sites, there is an amount of coordination that needs to be done between the projects. If you set it out as a GC, we can end up with multiple GCs. So it becomes more coordination for Mark to deal with, say, 2 or 3 GCs
And the
across the
architect.
project. So it's a complicated little nut in either direction. I do agree with Mark that it is more conservative to tell the architect to assume a GC. That is a more conservative way to secure the architect.
Yeah, but then they're gonna add in their, cost structure for that, and then if we get a CM, we're not getting the money back.
Yeah, it's literally, it's a comfort thing. What are you more comfortable with? We do roof projects, in the past, the projects that have come under the purview of special projects have typically been GC jobs, mostly roofs,
Sure.
windows, and
They're not that many
portables.
jobs.
So for this committee, it's a new thing. But it's not a wrong decision in either direction.
Very diplomatic.
Do we, in the RFP, in the RFQ, make it a general contractor? I can break it out as a separate line item for bid, man.
I know, I feel like we gotta make a decision and go with it rather than complicate
Look,
it like that.
what's your number of visits to the job sites?
Probably half day a week. On all 5. I'd probably be down here a day.
Every week? Yeah.
Between the 5 sites.
So theoretically, we can count on you for, any errors that you see, right?
That's what I'm saying.
You're not gonna have enough time
Yeah.
over the summer when everything's
It's hard
going on,
because the budget is small, but it does involve a lot of trades, which, involving a lot of trades makes me lean, because again, I was the CM and then I was an owner's rep. And then, if it was just like an HVAC job, which I did some stuff, then, we just hired them out. But when there are multiple trades that need to be coordinated, and in this case, multiple trades and multiple projects, separate projects, CM seems like a great idea, as long as it falls within the budget. I mean, it's just such a tiny budget.
Yeah.
Would you put out to 1 GC for all 5?
Say that again?
Yeah.
Would you put it out to 1 GC?
Yeah.
The answer
For
is yes,
what?
I would put it
I
out to
think
one
that's
GC
better.
for all 5 projects and have them, break down each of the projects.
Yeah.
But to Jen's point earlier, if we go the GC route, we complete the plans and specifications, everybody signs off on them, we put it out to bid. The bids come back over the budget. Okay?
Yeah, sorry.
We're about 40 minutes over our normal.
Blame me, it's my first meeting.
So the bids come in over the budget. What do we do then? The job gets scrapped at that point?
Well, you'd have to go back to the board for, an amendment to each one of the bonding resolutions and ask for more money.
Right.
Board of
Or
Finance,
redesign.
Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, RTN.
Couldn't you go back to the architect
or
and figure out
redesign
if
it.
there's something that
Right.
can be value engineered out?
I mean, since these are security vestibules, I mean,
It's probably not a lot, but I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe somebody, put the terrazzo floor in there.
Depends on what the amount that it's over, what you would do, because VE, there's not a lot of things to change in the security
Right.
vestibule.
But why would it
Yeah,
be
you might.
the stages there versus a G,
Only
versus
because
a general contractor?
as we're designing, we're getting, information, at the same time as the design is being, completed on cost.
Well, you've got the
Right,
architect.
yeah, you would know early on whether you're
I can't do that.
in a budget.
Every
Trying to-
commission in our fixed budget is wrong.
No, I know, you're right.
Are we looking at the difference between, so a GC would be, the person involved with the project would be more of a superintendent who would be pushing the project to build it versus a construction manager who would be managing and looking at the schedules and then, and trying to make sure that all of the parts and pieces are in place.
You'd probably get a full-time superintendent for the 8 weeks in the summer.
On what? On which one?
On both.
On both, yes. Okay.
Both entities have to have an on-site superintendent.
You'd probably
okay.
you'd get, well, we can, with a CM, we can say we want a PM and a project engineer and a full-time super, or just a project manager and a super for a CM.
Project manager and a super. Okay.
Correct.
So why would we not say, how would a GC handle that function? And if they can't handle that function, you're saying, if they can't bill us, then they don't get paid. That's gonna be, we have limited ways of dealing with that. And that's
General
a
contractor.
concern, but I don't really care if they can't figure out how to get their own bill in. It's only 8 weeks. They're gonna be done by the time, the bill's approved.
The general contractor, it's tough to dictate who they have on the site. Obviously, you need a superintendent, but do you have a full-time project manager? Do you have a, part-time engineer? You can't dictate, or,
Because it's like a lump sum.
yeah, it's a lump sum,
And
you
also can't,
you don't see their numbers.
you can't,
Their books aren't open.
disqualify, for lack of a better word, before they awarded the project, award a part of the project to a subcontractor that you don't like. It's because they lump sum their contractors. With the CM, we'll have the right to look at who they're awarding to.
Okay,
For the
why
trade.
can't, so if those are your concerns, why can't we put that into our RFP?
For a GC,
Yes,
GC won't bid it. They won't bid it.
Yeah,
At
because
least
they
in my
have the
experience.
people they work with and that's it. I mean, CMs kind of do that too, but they
Right.
probably have a larger pool.
But on a public bid job like this, it is open, so you'll get everybody that's qualified will
Yeah.
bid it.
Right.
And then it just becomes low bid at that point.
Those
low
qualified.
bid, if they're lowest, right.
Yeah,
Those
lowest,
qualified.
lowest qualified bid.
I mean, that's in quotes, you could say that.
Yeah.
But with,
Yeah, I would lean CM.
don't have to make the,
Yeah.
we can change it with the RFP as well. I can put general contractor in the RFQ when we have essentially 2 weeks actually, we have till next meeting to think it over.
We have the pre-qualified. So you're
You-
saying
we-
that when
we
they
get the
are here, they're gonna
qualifications.
Submit their,
Right.
their services, their
Yeah,
costs.
let's do that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
that's a good idea.
So to get me up to speed, so there's 5 estimates that have been done. Who did those where did these numbers come from?
Sal, who did the estimate, Sal?
Colliers.
they came in from phase one. They were basically
So
brought over.
we can blame you if the estimates are screwed up.
I'm not blaming anybody
No,
right
I
now.
am.
I'm just trying to get educated.
Yeah,
So,
no, these estimates,
can we, just
these-
in your distribution, can I get a copy of, just so I can see that, number one? And then, to your other points, what's now I was thinking that on this, as it says virtual site visit, can I get to the 5 locations? Just to see what's going on. Are these existing areas that are being reconfigured? Because they're saying, when you start talking about extending, you said you ran into phase one, having to extend
Yeah.
out. all sorts of concerns of it. I just wanna, again, picture,
Maybe you wanna go when the architects come.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I just took it out. We are gonna do every site visit,
that's on the
13th.
14th.
13th.
Oh, I was gonna ask whether that had to be virtual, okay.
No,
Okay, so
no.
it's not virtual.
It's not
and
virtual.
the 13th, okay,
Yep,
fine.
What day of the week is that?
Monday. I can change it.
No.
We haven't issued it, so if it's if you want Tuesday, we can do Tuesday.
No, Tim, I don't think there's any issue with me going on the 13th.
But they are,
Yeah.
the entrances are 5 unique entrances. There are no duplicates.
So,
So ECC, cause
Early
I-
childhood.
no, I'm there I was dropping off a kid this morning.
Okay.
I have grandkids. I have a grandkid at Burr and one over at ECC. There's like 3 or 4 doors that they use
Okay.
over there at ECC.
Okay.
Is that taken into consideration?
I don't
Which,
know.
which ECC at Ward?
Yeah,
There's a primary entrance. I'm not sure what other entrances would be getting used unless they came from the playground.
no, there's some kids lining up at the playground, and then there's actually 2 doors that they use,
It would be the main vestibule under the canopy.
under the canopy, yeah. There's a door next to, I think it's green, there's a door next to it that they use also. They pull kids in over there, but there's 3 lines there. At least 3 lines.
Well,
You're not aware of that.
Well, that's the arrival and dismissal patterns are monitored activities. What the vestibule is for visitor access.
Okay, that's
So
fine. Gotcha.
it's a secure portal for somebody that's visiting the facility.
Gotcha, okay.
so I like the idea of use the GC for the RFQ.
Yep.
And then when it comes to the proposal, it'll give us more time to think about it, and, we go from there.
Could also be something to discuss with the potential architect.
Yeah. With the
Yeah.
Confusing.
And just, again, for the sake of
If it does go
semantics,
GC, we
Mark,
have to do them too.
just don't use general contractor design build. It's counterintuitive,
Okay.
okay?
Just general contractor.
It's general contractor, period.
Okay.
As I said earlier, it was in the semantics that I was kind of reacting to.
Yep. And then you had a comment in here about traffic plans. If we're taking it out,
Yeah,
we
we
can
got
take
it.
it out here.
What is that?
First paragraph on page 6. First full paragraph, I think. It says the design teams shall include efforts to draft necessary plans to construct the project, including but not limited.
Oh, there, okay, traffic plans.
Yeah, I'll take traffic plans out.
And then you'll adjust.
Number of the pages?
Sorry, I'm reading the Word document.
Oh, okay, yeah, number of the pages and date the document, that's just some basic, yeah.
And then the next paragraph, you can adjust that to the,
Well, that all comes out.
yeah.
So we're taking out traffic.
Yeah, everything in yellow comes out.
And then everything in yellow comes out. For the purpose of the RFQ.
Yep. And then in
And,
part,
sorry, and then after that, after traffic plan, you're saying?
So what's highlighted in yellow, well, you don't have it highlighted in yellow, so all that deals with CM at risk. So
Yeah.
it's all gonna go for the RFQ.
Gotcha. Thank you.
then we'll incorporate in section 2, part A, comprehensive design services will include the security consultant and facade consultant.
I'm sorry, here, just, scope of design is here.
Yeah.
Contract will- Oh, this, okay,
Yeah.
this is yellow here, yeah, so you're saying you're taking out that.
Right,
Got it, okay, this is on, I don't know, page 6 or 5 or
yeah.
whichever version, because you have the one in blue, with blue.
And then in the next paragraph, the scope of design services, we'll add in the security consultant and the facade consultant.
Security consultant and the what consultant?
Facade. Yep.
And to Larry's point earlier, you may want to throw in the IT consultant. If there is one. Does the Board of Ed have their own IT consultant or
We have our own IT department.
department?
Yeah.
Well, so they're not necessarily designing versus approving, right? Or coordinating, right?
Good point.
I don't think you want to have them come into the design group.
No, but it's
They need to
it's
review it.
typically
Like
existing,
stakeholder input and feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we got it there.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, thing.
it's existing, it's existing low voltage.
Mhm.
They should have the, they should have the A-phone, all those items out there already, so it's just a matter of replacing or extending what is there.
Mhm.
The third-party code consultant will be retained by the owner.
Where are you now?
The,
Two A, which paragraph?
the,
Oh, I got you.
the
Third-party
last one,
commissioning agent.
The third-party co-consultant.
yeah. And then in paragraph B, we are, what is that, the second to last sentence, or the second sentence? The building committee will select one design for each school to develop into construction document.
What's
Design.
the thought process of two different alternates here? What type of, what's the?
Yeah, and are we estimating at that point?
No, you're not
I
estimating that.
didn't think so, it's not
just,
just schematic, or
it's-
design development, so what?
it's just layout and different ways to enter the building, different options. What is best for the school and the town?
I don't think we are in a position to evaluate that. I mean, you're just informing us about which ways people coming into.
But-
Like, I mean, I don't know,
But you'd get input from Sal, you'd get input from the SROs.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt to get the two schematic designs, and then when it's
No,
chosen,
I mean, I don't.
that's when you come in and say.
I don't have a
"I
problem, like,
wish-
choosing
I like
something,
those."
I would like it to be something that works for the school, not what I think is best in the thing,
And they're more diagrammatic. It's not true schematic design, it's more conceptual design as far as,
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
I think that needs to be clear, just because schematic design will probably cost a lot more than a conceptual design, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said minimum of 2 in the schematic design. And that'll be the first thing they do is put it on paper as far as the conceptual. Then design, development, construction documents are all part of the AIA contracts. Geotech services, to Rich's point, hopefully we don't need them. On phase 1, we did not need geotech, but if there's some design that comes outside the footprint that is questionable, we may need to do a boring. Site survey, I have just the affected area of the school parcel. We're not gonna do the whole parcel itself unless, there's a cost associated with doing the full parcel, but we do need survey at the entranceways. Environmental site assessment, if we go for OGA, this may be needed, and I can confirm that the ESA is needed. for OTA. Hazardous materials. We have 2 schools that have not been renovated and are not new, that we probably should get at least a consultant on board for those 2, which is Sherman and Ward High School. McKinley and Borough were all built this century. And then Stratfield was...
When was the ECC though, built at Ward? I know when Ward itself was built, but the ECC was much later.
It was concurrent with the Ward renovation in 2004.
2005. But was the door was the door modified?
The entrance was not, well, it's a newer entrance, but it's an older building. So it's one of those things, somebody's going to ask a question.
Yeah.
If we don't do it, they're going to ask the question, and we're going to end up doing it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's always the yardstick I've used. Even if yep, I know we remediated that 5 years ago. Somebody's going to ask a question, and then you're still going to end up taking a sample and spending the money. So you might as well do it up front.
And then we have the traffic analysis coming out. Then owner-architect agreement, which will be the modified AIA contracts. And in here we say that the proposals, any exceptions to these contracts will be noted as a submission. Special requirements, I have a minimum of 5 security vestibules as part of renovations and addition projects in the state of Connecticut. And I say those projects need to be funded by federal, state, or municipal funds. So they not necessarily need to be school projects, but they need to be funded from federal funds or municipal funds. Then I ask for minimum requirements that they'll provide. Carlos has a comment here. In number 3, company status as a result of merger, acquisition, spinoff, reorganization, or other change in business organizational status. And Carlos has added in that may have occurred during the past 5 years. And then full service is just hyphenated?
No, that was hyphenated.
Okay. And then in number 4, we want the copy of the architectural firm's engineering or architectural license. And then the second sentence is the lead architect license. So
You don't want to copy the lead architect? And send them over?
no, I do.
Send over the lead the license you want.
Right.
Not the.
Can they drive it then?
But, so we want both the firms and the lead architects. Okay.
Licenses.
Yes.
Yeah, including but not limited to the lead architect and all proposed sub-consultants.
And it is pretty standard that we get everything.
Right.
In item 6, Carlos added the security consultant as a, provide.
The sub-consultant.
Yeah. And then the next one is qualification, section 5. Everything else has stayed the same. Qualification review selection process. I have this all highlighted, but it is with the qualification-based selection, we'll get the qualifications in, you'll rank them, and depending on the point system or whatever you choose, you're going to shortlist from there. will go out for proposals. You can say, when you get the proposals in, what are you gonna rank them on that, as far as how many points you're gonna attribute to the proposal. You're also gonna have points attributed to the presentation.
That's all done in the e-procurement website,
Yes.
like we did with your proposal.
Yep.
Larry, you're gonna have to meet with Adam, he'll show you
Yep.
Okay.
that e-procurement, website, how to get into it, how to use it, so make an appointment with him when you get a chance.
Sure.
The only comment I had here is that, it should be section 4, not section 3.
Okay. The selection criteria, though, is this,
That's all in the program. It's all
right,
pre-programmed.
but we also, do we want to provide that to the firms on what they're gonna be?
It's right here.
Right, but we can change it.
No, you leave it on.
Okay.
As long as this is consistent with Adam's procurement criteria, it just stays, it's fine.
Okay. You take
Just
it.
check it out.
Yep.
I think this is okay.
And then you're gonna, points for each category. Now, going back to the points and shortlisting and all that, just recent experience on Deloitte, we've had, and they kind of did it differently but we can take the qualifications, rank them, shortlist them, and then when it comes to the presentation and the proposals, everybody goes back to equal, and basically they went 50-50, or you combine them. You know, based on the qualifications, if you scored 80 and the next guy scored 70, do you start the next round 80 and 70, or is everybody at 80? Yeah, it's up to the committee.
I think I know what you're getting at.
I don't.
Good. But the bottom line counts pretty very much.
Right.
And, then the other stuff is helping you to make decisions about who
Correct.
and what, so, if we all got to that point, then they pretty much should be all equal, like.
So, I mean, we split it, with Deloitte, we went 50 on the qualifications and 50 on the presentation and proposal. And that way, you shortlisted off the first 50, and then the last 50, they added it on, but you can also just use that last 50 to award. So you shortlist, everybody comes in at 50 points. Doesn't matter what they scored in the first round of qualification. Everybody comes in at 50 points. They come in, one firm knocks your socks off, you like them, they got the lowest, they get 50. And that's what you award on. And then the other two firms that you bring in aren't as well, or they're higher proposals, and they get 40 and 30. And you're gonna only award on how they do with the presentation and the proposal. You're not taking into account the qualifications of the first 50.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay. Understand.
Is that how the committee wants to go? Shortlist on the first 50 and then,
Is that a decision that needs to be made ahead of even seeing what we have? I mean, let's say we have 4 companies that blow our socks off, great. That's one thing.
So lucky.
I'm just,
well,
I could think positive there, or that conversely, we only have one, it's gonna, the reality is it's gonna jade our experience regardless.
Yeah.
I don't think we're signing off like in a court of law and saying, okay, I'm gonna only listen to the presentations as told. We can do our own research and look at Angie's list or whatever.
with the new Connecticut General Statutes, if you get 3 or more, you have to, and you're doing the qualification base, you have to interview a minimum of 3.
So you get 3, interview 3.
Yes. If you get 5, you can interview all 5, or you can interview 3.
You just can't interview one.
You
You
can't
can't
do
less
2.
than one, okay.
Yes, you can't interview, yes.
Okay.
It's a minimum of 3. That's, and then, submissions all through the e-portal. Inquiries are through the e-portal, and then we get into the appendices.
By the way, the appendices on this one says Ward Elementary. I'm just leaving it. It's got it everywhere else.
I mean,
Okay,
it just
you
be
move
spelled
baseball
out
field,
across
Lincoln
all documents to say Early Childhood Center at Ward High School.
That's what I think it's
Yeah.
called.
Early Childhood Center at Ward High School in here, and then also that's what I will take back.
Yeah, it should be.
For the ed spec.
Consistent.
And then strike out the word elementary in the ed spec on the top paragraph, just because it says in elementary schools, and that's also, we'll just take out the word elementary,
Yeah.
and just say in schools.
Yep.
Okay, so those will be the edits. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the ed spec. And we'll go with Early Childhood Center at Ward High School.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason why I did ECC is up in the first section. I spelled it out, early childhood, then I parenthetical ECC. That's the only reason
And
why.
everybody says ECC.
Yeah. That's why I threw out the document after that first.
Contractor from outside.
And the town also has an ECC communication center, so
Oh, really?
it's just always nice to, people know that what they're reading. Yes, that's the Lake Emergency Center.
Yes, yeah.
Communication.
Emergency
I just want
Center, it's also called the ECC.
I want to clarify one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Any of the,
And it's run
any
by
of these
young
changes that
children.
we talk about,
No.
not gonna
Those
impact
are the experienced ones.
I'm a
Getting
preschool
this out of
teacher,
here,
so
right?
we
No,
recommend
I
our
can-
children to the ECC.
As long as we're in agreement, I can do it in the morning and send it over to Adam.
I think
There-
we gotta
there's three
really
that-
take a look at this 50-50 thing that you're talking about.
Okay.
All right?
One
Um,
is there was some ECC classes
that-
at Strathfield Elementary, and
I
there's
think,
also.
I know what I
Holland
know, what I'm on, yeah,
Right.
but,
Hill. Holland Hill is new as
That's
of
right.
last year.
and also,
The 5
um,
at Strathfield have been.
God, we're gonna have to do this again. I don't know why, Rodney isn't here.
2019.
He's likely to have some opinions, so.
I do not know.
So we
I
can,
have a friend who worked at
well, I'm gonna tell him, yeah, it's important that he, the next meeting we have, yeah. And I'll call him or whatever and tell him, 'cause he's part of the committee and I think he's definitely gonna see things one way or the other.
Rodney.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rodney.
He's not here.
I wish he was here, that's the only thing.
Well,
All right, we can make a recommendation here to, submit, approve, as
amended.
as amended or altered
And discussed
and discussed, all right.
at length.
The, what do you call it, the RFQ for architectural and engineering services. All right.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion? It couldn't be. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have no item, no invoices,
And we have no discussion because we have no purchasing director.
and Adam is not present, and that'll be included in the minutes. He was on the schedule. Oh, okay. Any old business? No. And new business? I think, I don't have any.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
I think we have to, bye, Sal, thank you.
Bye, Sally, thanks.